I had an idea today. What if I make funky beats just using delay? So the kick, snare, and hi-hat would each hit once, and then I'd use the delay tail to create funky grooves. Here I have my 3 parts of the drum kit. I've got my kick drum here. I have my snare. I have my hi-hat. Each of those will hit once, and then you'll hear on each of these tracks I have a delay. And the delay is set to a kind of arbitrary rate with a lot of feedback, so that once the delay hits, it goes for a long time. The mix is at 50%, so the delay will be just as loud as the initial hit. Let's take a listen. I don't even want to bother to try to analyze exactly what it is at this time. I just want to say, do I like it or do I not like it? And so far, I'm like, I don't know. So let's try tweaking a few things. What if I make the kick slower? So now there's a 1923.6 millisecond delay between each kick. So that's going to sound like this. On the snare, it's like right now. Let's make it a little longer. So it's going to be like 352.4 milliseconds. It's going to be like this rate. Pretty good. For the hi-hat, I kind of like the rate it's at. It could be a little faster. Let's hear it. Okay, I actually like that one. So let's work with it. So I'm just going to go record output. And now it should record the beat. So here's our beat. I think it'd be cool to loop it on the kick, so it's boom. And then loop it like right here, I think. Let's see what happens. That's a good length, I think. Now I'm going to duplicate the track here. So we've got the beat, and then we have the beat copy. And I'm actually on the beat copy. I'm going to do a tremolator. It's one of my favorite effects. It basically just mutes and unmutes the audio. So instead of it becomes ha. You know, a tremolo kind of deal. I'm going to have this copy track with the tremolator. And the tremolator is chopping eighth notes in sync with the MIDI, the metronome here, which is 120. So if I were to make like a beat that is quantized with the click, this kick and snare sounds like this. If I add a kick and snare that are quantized to 120 and play that at the same time as our delay beat with the tremolator on it, it sounds like this. So you're hearing the tremolo beat, which is just our delay beat, cutting out in eighth notes that are quantized to this kick and snare, but there's so much weird like micropulse going on in between that it sounds really odd and dirty. This is even more obvious if I do, instead of an eighth note tremolator, if I were to do a quarter note tremolator. So that's a pretty nice way to get your, drunk beats going. Now let's hear it with the original delay drums in and no kick snare from quantized kick snare. Not much of a difference. So let's try taking the tremolated one and putting it up an octave. See if that helps. it adds a really interesting little texture to it. Let me just put some compression on it so you can really hear what's going on. That's pretty cool. What if we add the quantized kick snare back into the mix? That might seem like overkill. I mean, it's just a lot to pay attention to. But I think it's such a fascinating fabric that maybe we can get away with adding very little to this and feeling like we've got a real section of a piece here. Is line an instrument up with this quantized kick snare here. And now I'm going to put a delay on this bell that will be quantized to the 120 click. This is very different from what I normally do. Fascinating. So I think there's a point where it stops being good and it could stand to loop again right here. So these last four, I'm just going to get rid of them. Cool. So that's the first repeat, and now on this second repeat I'm going to add in one more instrument, and I think we can call it a section. As usual, I'm inclined to put vocals over this. And the vocals are going to have to be pretty long, sustainy vocals so that I'm not adding like another trashy rhythmic element to throw the whole thing off. So let's see if I can still sing.